Yes.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order. If you all could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The most comply with the notice provisions of the Sunshine Law by adopting prior to January 10th of this year a resolution for times and locations of all regular meetings of the Commission. This meeting is one of the meetings listed in such resolution, and copies of the resolution were prior to January 10th filed with the Borough Clerk. Commissioner Lewandowski, we forced him to go home. He's got the stomach bug, and we told him to get out of here. So he apologized, but he's not feeling so great, so he's staying home. So, Tom?
I need a motion to file the minutes. So moved.
Second.
And a motion to file the following reports. Tax collector, treasurer, zoning official. So moved.
Second.
Read the second reading and public hearing of ordinance 1657, re-adopting ordinance 1207, authorizing to implement the granting of tax abatements and exemptions.
So how, let's do all the next three, is all related to the same thing. Okay.
Second reading and public hearing of ordinance 1658, approving amendment to the financial agreement for long-term tax exemptions between the Collinswood, the Lumberyard 70 Urban Renewal Entity, LLC, and the Borough of Collinswood. Approving an amendment to the financial agreement for long-term tax exemption between the Collins and the Lumberyard Commercial Urban Renewal Entity, LLC, and the Borough of Collinswood. And 1660, approving an amendment to the financial agreement for long-term tax exemption between the Collins and the Lumberyard Condo 34 Urban Renewal Entity, LLC, and the Borough of Collinswood.
Okay, so this is, was the subject of a meeting a month ago, and actually also, I think 2 months ago, we had some discussion on it. The lumberyard, the part of the project at Lane, and split it in half, split the back building in half. The far side of the back building and the new building constructed up front was done as 3 different pilots. All the same terms pretty much, but the same 3 different pilots. So there's one for the 34 units in the townhouses. Okay. So under the agreements, under the statute, it's contemplated that there could be a sale, a transfer of property. Our agreements say that we'll approve a transfer of the property to another, what's called an urban renewal entity, a special kind of corporation. We were asked to approve that. We asked for some information, some financial information about the transaction. There was some resistance to give us purchase price information, which we felt was important to review prior to the sale. We got that information finally. Actually, it was the day of our last meeting is when we got that information. We've reviewed it with an appraiser. We've reviewed it in-house with our financial staff. Feel comfortable that it's appropriate to approve the transfer. We generally look at it for what's called folks that have a long-term pilot are required to pay what's called excess profits over to the borough. So we reviewed it for that. We feel that it's comfortable. It's appropriate how it's been calculated. So we introduced the ordinance to approve the transfer. We did this just about 6-8 months ago with Parkview. That property sold, same kind of review. We approved that transfer, same terms. This is approving the transfer as well. So if anyone would like to bring anything before the commission, this is your opportunity to do so. Anyone? Okay.
Mayor Mayo?
Yes.
Commissioner Leonard? Yes. And we have the first reading of ordinance 1661 to exceed municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank.
So tonight we are introducing our budget, which we'll do in just a few minutes. It's later on the agenda. This is simply authorizing us to exceed the statutory cap, which we never have. But it also authorizes us to establish what they call a cap bank. So your cap roughly, a whole lot of details, but roughly it's at 2%. You can only increase your raise taxes by 2% a year. But if you don't raise it 2%, whatever the difference is between what you raised and what that cap limit is, you're allowed to bank it for a few years. Okay, so in essence, it lets you hold on to those savings in case something happens. The law allows you, you have some horrible tragedy or something that you didn't expect, and you need to spend more money. It lets you use those savings from the years before and add that on. So we do this every year. It's a precautionary measure, just in case we want to bank it to make sure that we have it. Okay, so this is the first reading. The public hearing on that will be at the May 6th meeting. Okay?
Mayor Mallon?
Yes.
Commissioner Lenard? Yes. Okay, we have the first reading of salary ordinance 1662.
And this is in conjunction with our introduction of the ordinance tonight, sets ranges for different positions, and the public hearing will be at the May 6th meeting.
Mayor Mallon?
Yeah.
Mayor Mallon?
Yes.
Commissioner Lenard? Okay, we have the following resolutions. Appointing Brian Bestwick as firefighter EMT for the Collinswood Fire Department.
Yes.
Yes.
So how about we do Brian swear again. So Brian, come on up. Family, any family coming up with Brian? Come on up. How you doing? Hey, great. You hold it? You hold it very good. That's absolutely much better. Come on in. Yeah, get up. Everybody come up. Come up. Get you in a picture. No Joe Biden moments, okay? But everybody come up. Actually got a laugh. How about that? Once you're with the fire department long enough, you will screw this up 100 different ways because they never get this. But great. Brian, place your hand on it and raise your right hand, please. Okay, I state your name.
Brian Pheasant,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments
and to the government
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties as firefighter EMT to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Brian, welcome aboard. So Brian has been working part-time for us for a while, and will now be coming on full-time. And our use of part-time employees has been a great help to, among other things, not only fill in and get work done, but it's a great training ground, great ability for us to evaluate talent, to bring them in. It's a great thing. Brian, welcome aboard. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks. You are all free to leave, okay? And gentlemen, ladies, everyone, thank you for being out tonight. You are all also free to leave. You think I would have applause for that? Okay.
Okay, appointing Anita Schiffman as president clerk of the Borough of Collinswood.
Yes. Yeah.
Reappointing members of the Collinswood zoning board, Andrew Faltel and Kevin Platt,
Yes.
certifying that hiring practices are in compliance with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's guidelines and the signing of the group affidavit.
Yes.
Approving raffle license 2019 5, 6, and 7 for Collinswood Band Boosters, Devereaux Foundation, and Mark PTA.
Yes.
Authorizing the cooperative purchasing agreement with Camden County for copy paper.
Yes.
Authorizing the purchase of a portion of block 112, lot 15 and 16 on the official tax map of Collinswood, commonly known as 414 and 416 Haddon Avenue.
So for those of you that have been following along with our public safety building, the police and fire station, one of the things that we had been looking at doing was acquiring a portion of, I'll refer to them as the doctor's offices, the medical offices that are next to the 434. So we have struck an agreement and we're purchasing, I want to say like roughly 30–40% of the back of the lots on those two properties, okay? So those properties run from Haddon Ave all the way back to Wallace Street, to the little street in the back. They are very deep lots. And we're going to purchase those back portions. That'll still make the doctor's offices lots be plenty big for the use of the buildings that are on there. And we'll purchase those back lots. We don't have any immediate plans right now for it. The police and fire building is being finalized on the property that we had owned. It's pretty far along in its engineering. So that will just be completed. That land will have, in case that we need any kind of stormwater help, any parking for whatever down the road, we'll have that. We felt it was an important step for the borough to have that additional property for the future, if for nothing else. So that's what that property is. And we'll talk about it some more. Our town forum in 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks. We're doing a special session before, at the start of it, 6 to 7. That's going to focus on the public safety building. And actually, the night before, we're walking with the neighborhood out at the site just to discuss, hands-on any issues there. So we'll be happy to talk about it then any other time. Okay.
What time will you be walking through the neighborhood?
I think it's, I don't know if notices went out yet.
You just went out to the neighborhood. Yes.
Okay, so it's hang on, forget the date. I want to say the 10th.
Okay, yeah, the
No,
16th is the
16th.
neighborhood meeting and the 17th is the public meeting.
So we're out with the neighborhood for 6 o'clock
Okay.
on the 16th. And then the 17th is a 5, 6 o'clock, right?
6.
6 o'clock forum at the Scottish Rite, so our regular forum is at 7, but we're doing an hour earlier at 6 to focus on the public safety building. And then people bring it up at the 7 too, but just as a focus. Okay?
Yep, thank you.
You got it. Okay. Go ahead.
Introducing and approving the 2019 municipal budget.
So-
Do a roll call, please.
Yeah, sure.
Mayor Mallon?
Yes.
Commissioner Leonard? Yes. Okay.
So our municipal budget this year has an increase on the average household of roughly $39. The average household for this year is assessed at $229,760. The increase from last year is roughly $39. It is all, it's related to, salaries have gone up, insurance has gone up. There's nothing extra special in this budget this year. Last year is really where we took a big chunk out of our surplus last year in order to do the road work, which is, you see beginning now, okay? We took roughly $1 million out of last year's budget to do a good 10 streets in town. What you see going on right now is you'll see some concrete work being done where those streets are going to happen. The streets will not start until the asphalt plants, the term is heat up, and begin producing asphalt, which is not until the weather is really safe and clear. So we're doing the prep work to be ready that as soon as that asphalt can be delivered and we can get it, we're all set and ready to go to fix some streets. Because we know We drive around too, we know that some of them are horrible. The little link, the cut through at the park, McGill over by Ritchie, just to name a couple that are just combat zones. So that work is all coming. So this year's budget, $39 increase on the average home. Nothing special, nothing out of the ordinary with it. It's the regular salary increases. We've got some money allocated this year. We need to redo our master plan this year. It's coming up on its 10 years, and so it's got to be reviewed and redone. So we've allocated some extra money for that as well. Okay. So that's it on the budget. So one more, right, Hal?
One more. Yes, public hearing, May 6th for that.
Yeah, the public hearing will be on May 6th for the budget. It'll be advertised to be May 6th.
And final resolution is approving the payment of bills as presented by the treasurer.
Yes.
Yes. That's all I got.
Okay, Commissioner Leonard?
Well, I am wearing green instead of patriotic colors today because it's 2 weeks to the Green Festival, so I want to make my statement here. Come to the Green Festival. If you haven't seen our posters and seen things online, you can sign up and have a composter or a rain barrel subsidized by the borough so that it helps you to have a more green experience in your backyard. You can get a tree for cheaper, and this year we're really trying to feature that everybody can have a rain garden in their own backyard, which will help you with stormwater runoff. We have people there who can talk to you about native plants and how to do things that will really help the direction of having a reduced impact during times of rainfall and flood in our backyards, which we have all suffered with in Collinswood, except for houses that are built exceptionally high. So I wanted to invite you all to that, and then I wanted to show you the banner that was made with the help of Kate and Jen last year that will be featured at the Green Festival. And this was made by the children of Collinswood who came to the Green Festival last year, and then through Kate and Jen became this beautiful banner. And it's just, what I wanted you to know about it is that we're going to feature it at the Green Festival, and then we're going to hang it at the community center and other places because we can, because it has this beautiful gusset here to be able to do that. And we really want the children of the community to know that they make a difference. There are several different activities for children this year, including an effort by one young child to help save our oceans by the way that we deal with plastic. And so it's all very lovely and interesting and inspiring when you have 9-year-olds speaking so eloquently at these events. So please come on out and see this hanging, and thank you for your help with this. And it will be a pleasure to have this hanging at the 1-year anniversary of this creation. And hopefully many more times to come that we can help our Earth together. So that's enough for me for tonight, Jim.
So let me check on the road. I mentioned about the roads that we have underway on Eldridge Avenue. Work should be starting there soon. That's not part of the borough's budgetary process from last year. That was part of the DOT grant, which we've gotten, and everything's ready to go. So that work will be started very shortly. And then we received word today that that Grant Avenue from the White Horse Pike back to Champion, we've been approved for the grant application that we did there. That's another $250,000. So that will be, we're dealing with the state. So we got awarded the one that starts in a week or two. We got awarded that a year ago. So you can figure by the beginning of next spring, that's when the work will get started on Grant Ave. Okay?
So Eldridge was a year, you're saying, Jim?
Yeah, Eldridge, that's the DOT grant we got last year.
Right.
Yep.
And Eldridge is, 4 blocks long? That one, right? The Eldridge project?
It's the Bronx, it's like the Champion.
Not all the way to Champion, one street built for Champion.
Got
And we have a plan for, in addition to that being repaired, 40 trees are approved. And I talked to our engineer about that. There's a great loss there in trees. So we'll be able to work with the neighbors and planting to just really make the neighborhood look better, in addition to having water that runs in the street during storm better. So the neighborhood will look better.
For folks that are here, you know, are curious about the Airbnb draft ordinance, we've been getting comments from people. You know, not a ton, not an avalanche, just a trickle of them. We got some today, we got some Friday, like we continue to get them from people. So we're just letting everybody have their say and get everything in, and we'll take a look and see what, if any, revisions we make to it and what we intend to do. Okay. That's kind of all I have. I'll open it up to the floor. Anybody have anything they'd like to bring before the commission? Yes, sir.
Jim.
Just need your name and address.
Oh, my first name is Ned, my last name is Nash, 110 Garfield. I think it is bad. I think if you go to the web, there's like there's noise, there's people coming all hours of the night, and the traffic, and there's some communities, I know, like Berlin, Germany, they outlaw them altogether. So my statement is, I think it's bad. I think I understand that the New Jerseyans need money because it's expensive to live in the state, obviously, but maybe they can rent a room or something. And by the way, finally, some people, like the absentee landlords, you know, you don't even know the hosts. Sometimes they have these these buttons, and you never knew. One time I used it because I couldn't book a hotel in Mount Airy, in Chester Hill, in Philly, and they used Airbnb. I didn't use my host, and it's like there was 3 guys there. They lived there full time. It just looked a little bit weird. So that's my statement.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Yep. Just name and address for the record, please.
Wesley Fenza, 315 Taylor Avenue. I have a statement also regarding the short-term rental ordinance, and we actually prepared a statement on behalf of the Collingswood Neighbors for Change group. We felt that, you know, we didn't want to have everyone standing up and say something, so we just all have a prepared statement instead of everyone individually making one. So first up, we wanted to thank the board for providing the draft ordinance and encouraging public comment. And we think that's, showing real welcome responsiveness to the short-term rentals. And very few of us actually have rental units, but we believe that our neighbors should be allowed to rent their property subject to a lot of provisions contained in the proposed ordinance, but with a few key changes. And in short, we feel that the ordinance should be modified to allow for our neighbors to rent their property year-round, with limits placed only to ensure the safety of the community. The changes we'd like to see are, 1, the elimination of the 24-day per year limit. That limit really makes it impossible for anyone to make significant income renting their property. We'd like to see the elimination also of the 3-day minimum rental period. There's a lot of people that would like to come to town for a night or a weekend to see a show at the Scottish Rite, sample our world-class restaurants, or take Paco into Philadelphia, and it just doesn't make sense to exclude these short-term tourists. We'd like to see the elimination of the 14-day maximum rental period. Several residents of our town have historically rented to students who need rentals by the semester. And like tourists, excluding those people doesn't really make a lot of sense. We'd like to see modification of the requirement for lessors to obtain a new permit at every change of occupancy, and the extensive reporting requirements on residents. We feel that these are overly bureaucratic requirements that make short-term renting extremely burdensome and don't really seem to benefit the town in any way. We feel that an annual permit requiring lessors to keep basic biographical data of renters should adequately serve the town's needs. We'd like to see the elimination of the requirement that short-term rentals are limited to single-family detached units. Many kinds of buildings are suitable for rentals. We don't really understand the reasoning behind that provision. We'd like to see modification of the requirement for parking and the issuance of parking permits for rental purposes. As it is, the provision will make it impossible for many people to participate. And we feel the property owners should be able to allow renters to park in front of their own homes and should be issued permits to do so. And finally, we'd like to see the elimination of the requirements for hardwired smoke detectors. We're not requiring them for long-term rentals, so we don't see anything that would make short-term rentals more dangerous from a fire safety perspective. It's just another burden to put on people. We feel that taken together, we feel these provisions show an unjustified hostility towards short-term renters. The ordinance, as it's written now, sends a strong message that we don't want these people in our town, and we don't want to empower our residents to supplement their income by making full use of their property. And we disagree with this attitude. We feel that short-term rentals are good for our town. They travel to local businesses, they eat at our local restaurants, they attend our local events, and they add to our culture. Short-term renters add to our community in the same way that long-term residents do. And in addition, the extra income the residents earn is often spent in the community. And evidence shows that short-term rentals increase surrounding property values. Our other concern is that when it comes to people's rights to make use of their own homes, freedom should be the default, limited only when people's rights intolerably harm others. If someone wants to rent out a room in their house, we have no reason to stop them unless we can show some kind of real harm to the community. And so far, we haven't seen any evidence of harm. Instead, we see compelling evidence that allowing these rentals creates numerous benefits for our town. Now we understand and respect that Collingswood was not always what it is today. Collingswood is not such a tourist town that would be profitable for large numbers of homeowners that convert properties to short-term rentals. Airbnb provided some data recently. It was reported in the Philadelphia Inquirer. It showed that before the recent crackdown, there were only 20 homes in town being rented, and each homeowner was only able to find renters for an average of 6 nights a month. That's 120 nights a month, all told. And that's the same number of additional people in our town as we would have if only 4 new housing units were constructed. We feel this data shows that the demand for short-term rentals in Collingswood is just not high enough that we need to be worried about overloading our town or having significant amounts of our housing stock converted to short-term rental units. And the data also showed that 1/4 of hosts were senior citizens. And why limit the ability of our seniors to supplement their incomes based on fear of a future problem all evidence suggests will never occur? Now, even though we feel that the town would benefit more from unrestricted short-term rentals, we'd like to propose a compromise for the time being, which is lifting the restrictions on owner-occupied units only. Allowing owner-occupied properties to operate with few restrictions would protect the long-term residents who've lost their jobs, gone through a divorce, suffered a tragedy, or otherwise suffered a loss of income and need to supplement it. But it would prevent large developers from buying up properties and converting them to short-term rentals. It's not a perfect solution, but it seems like it would allow us to get many of the benefits of short-term rentals while protecting against the worst of the downsides. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? This is the public comment session. Anybody can talk about whatever you want. Yes.
In Woodcock, 121 East Palmer Avenue. While I understand your viewpoint, I think you folks have to understand that not everyone wants short-term rentals in Collingswood, nor thinks it's good for Collingswood. And I'd just like to say that I think your restrictions are a good starting point, and I'd like to see lots of restrictions, because I want everybody to be safe. And that's enough for Airbnb or short-term rentals. I'd just like to thank the commissioners for having the U.S. Army Band over at the Scottish Rite a couple weeks ago. They did a really nice job. The place was packed, and I think everybody enjoyed it. So thank you.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks. It's fun. Who else? Yes, sir.
My name is Rafael Foresta. I am a landlord on 13 properties, none in Collingswood, and I'm an Airbnb host. I have looked and evaluated if it would make sense to buy a property here for Airbnb, and I decided against it because, the town is not welcome. The properties that I own, most of them that I have Airbnbs, I put over $100,000 in repairs and I improved them. And I personally know all the neighbors that are neighbors to my property. And I improved the town and I help everybody, Problems do exist, and sometimes there's hiccups, but when there's a problem, I'm there. And I think a town like Collingswood could benefit of having people like me invest in the town and bring more people in to spend money in the town. I think it's awfully short-sighted for a town that doesn't have any accommodation to prohibit Airbnb. To my knowledge, there's no hotels in Collingswood, so just think about it.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes. Did you? Yes.
What I have to say has nothing to do with Airbnb, and since
Just,
the ball was
I'm
rolling.
sorry, I just need your name and address.
My name is Madeline Nist, I'm 243 East Knight Avenue.
Thank you.
But the ball was rolling for Airbnb. I have a different topic. I want to
Go
say,
ahead.
thank goodness we've got those minutes online right away. I noticed it. It was one of the first things I didn't like about this town. It's like, what? We haven't had minutes on our, thank you. That's it.
Listen, that's nothing we did. That's just a function of Holly having the time to be able to get.
Thank you, Holly,
That's all,
for doing
right, Holly?
things in a timely
That's all it
way.
is. Yeah, that's all it is. There's nobody keeping the ball.
I never said
She's
anybody
the-
was keeping it on.
No,
I
but-
never said that.
No, okay, all right, but you're
I
thanking us for
appreciate
getting
it.
them on, and
I
I'm letting
see
you,
it. It's noticed.
that's fine. I'm letting you know Holly had a chance to do it, and so they're on.
We
Okay?
hope to continue this way.
Well, Holly's doing the best she can do. Okay, that's the work that's getting done. Anyone else? Sorry, yeah, Jen, go ahead. Name and address for us, please.
Jen Rossi, 114 East Palmer Avenue. I did receive the information that I had done via an open public records request for the safety inspections on the playgrounds, both at Knight Park and at Roberts Park Pool Playground. And I saw some things where I think we still need to have some work done. I don't think necessarily that, so I'm kind of wondering what our next steps could be to kind of help improve those spaces. If there's any idea of who I should get in touch with next.
Do you have, I mean, tell us what you think is wrong with them. What do you suggest that, our public works department kind of takes care of them, checks on them, so what are you suggesting that we do instead?
Well, I saw in the reports that there was commonly issues with graffiti and litter, so I wasn't sure if maybe we could have an organization of volunteers who regularly go through the park that help with that, especially during busier seasons, like soccer.
Sure, yes, you can do that, whatever you would like. We'd be happy to coordinate how you do that.
Okay,
Yes.
great, and also.
And graffiti gets addressed, first our police get notified, they take pictures of it, so they have record of it, and then we go about, public works get it cleaned up.
Okay, and then also, it just seems like there's an ongoing problem with the layer of mulch. I'm not sure if a different solution is going to be needed for that space, if possibly because of how much water comes through that park, if maybe a port solution is needed, if there needs to be an organization to do the fundraising, something like that. Looking for a more productive solution than what we're currently doing, because it just seems like it's just a constant maintenance and that we can't really quite keep up with it. So I wasn't sure if I should be continuing to bring these ideas here, or if I should go to the Light Park Commission, or if I should.
You might want to send something to the Night Park Commissioners, I can talk to Michael, and just see, it's not, what you're perceiving as an issue is not, it's very clear to say it's not universally viewed to be an issue. So if you want to try to highlight what the problem is, I mean, like, it's forever, the mulch, the sand, whatever it was in playgrounds, like, if you play on it, it needs to be replaced as it gets moved. Doing surfaces, I know back when the playground for Knight Park, when the playground was done there, we don't really, are there spots with mulch in the new playground? A lot of it's all that, that new surface, right, that rubbery surface that's there, so we don't have a problem there.
Right.
It's really the playground, and that was done pretty much through volunteer efforts of raising money, and the borough, chipping in to do it as well. I know that at the time, the cost of doing that was gonna be pretty extreme, and that's why it happened not to go that way. So, yeah, I would write to Michael, we'll keep track of it and see, what there is, but it's not, hasn't been a big issue for us.
So we brought a couple of truckloads of mulch there, in the late winter. And then we brought several more truckloads in over the last month. And we sent community service workers there to walk around the park with a bag and pick up any oddball litter, not even to put it in garbage cans, but to put it together and put it by the garage so we would see the litter that's not in the garbage can. This has been ongoing over the past month as spring approaches. So we've been raking the mulch, picking up litter with community service volunteers during the week and the weekend. We had workers also mulch the bridge and the trees toward the high school to the bridge, and then we started hitting the monuments and the pavilion. We had 12 workers do the pavilion and rake all of the down branches that happen from rain and storms. So there hasn't been one weekend in the past 6 weeks that we haven't had 12 people for 3 hours working. So although what you're saying is a concern, I can't give blood. I mean, this as much as I can do, I can't even pay attention to this West Side Business District and the Collinswood Middle Business District because I just keep sending everybody to the park to get ready for spring. So I'm tapped out. And the amount of mulch at the children's playground is huge. There is huge amount of mulch there in the pavilion. If it's not enough, I think it's gotta be enough because we have to do the rest of the park. We have to make the young trees look healthy near them. We have to look at places that we might have forgotten, maybe around the gazebo, the white gazebo, that hasn't been done yet. So as spring approaches, we have to keep moving along to all of those areas. I think what we could use is maybe somebody to more consistently take a rake and fluff it up. I'm doing that every week or so, but if it's a group that wants to want doing it, you're right to the trustees, we can coordinate. So that would be, looking for any trouble spots, that would be fun to take a picture and send it to maybe with one bag and where they could go. That's what I do, if I see something, I try to get somebody to fix it. So I'm on duty doing that as a volunteer, not as a commissioner, so glad to have you. If it's something you want to do, to look at it and see what you see, and then we can send it to the public works or the trustees or whatever else. But I think the direction we are is at least as much as any other year, or even more at this point. I'm not disappointed in where we're going. I think we're ahead of schedule because it's only April 1st and we have so many areas done. Usually it's about Memorial Day by the time we have to look good.
Well, I think more of us should have, some sweat equity in the game as well.
Oh,
because
yeah.
We're enjoying the space.
Oh, yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Anybody who wants to do it. So I'm a volunteer for the restoration of the Park House as well. You know, we just have certain items in the fire all working at all times, but anybody who wants to help, I can set up, you know, a day, a work day, or we work weekends. We have the Shade Tree Advisory Board pruning the young trees once a year there. You know, we have really professional pruners taking down dead trees there and bringing numbers, so there's a lot to do if anybody wants to help. We usually announce it at the very end of November, and we have a town-wide, everybody come to break up the park day, but that's not enough, it's just what we can manage, so let me know, any idea, and I'll help to coordinate.
And any update, my daughter had brought a idea at the last meeting to add another trash can to the Night Park playground, which I'm guessing is kind of why we were at last month, kind of looking at the trash that we were seeing.
So I looked at that, and I looked at where the trash cans are. There are 3 sets of trash cans that are double trash cans, like trash and recycling. And the one by the children's playground area is on the side that swings toward the garages. I think somebody had to make a judgment as to where to put it, and trash cans aren't always the most pleasant thing to sit right next to, so you can see it in full view, but from some areas you might have to make, you know, 30 paces, and some it's 3 paces. So I don't think we need another one. It's one small area, and there's 2 right there. But going right across the field is a double trash can again, and then not even 30 feet away, another double trash can. So there's kind of too many by the sports fields next to it that, you know, anybody running around with a ball could have gotten to either one way too easily. So maybe one of those could be shifted. But there are actually 3 double sets of trash cans in a not very far area. So I'm not sure what would be the next step, but I was gonna talk to the trustees and see if they had any thought. But it is right there, the one that's there. I don't know where you
There
want
is
it
one,
to
yeah,
be.
there is on the park side of the playground. I was just
Right.
kind of thinking that because that's kind of another area where people might be walking to, not necessarily through the playground, maybe not necessarily near where the field hockey fields are, that because it's an area where people are coming together, it might be another good opportunity, and that's also where that would be the ordinance, it tends to be where we also saw a lot of weather, so.
There's one by the girls' field, well, anyway, so
Yeah, there's
tell
2
me what
there.
they, when I saw, there's one there too, there's 2 there.
Yes.
So, okay, we'll keep looking.
So while Jen's talking, just reminded about PACO. We had contact with them 10 months ago, and they completed a study about the noise. And ever since they did this track work out here, it's gotten a lot worse. So they completed their own sound study and said, yeah, you know, you're right, it has. So they're scheduled to do a grinding process, to do some work on the rails later this summer, right, is when it's scheduled up to come out to do that. Hopefully, we're gonna get back to just the regular trailer noise.
The
that we
regular
had
roar, the
Before,
double
not getting
roar.
what we have right now. All right, what else? Anybody else? Yes? Name and address for the record, please.
Joseph Denal, 23 Newton Avenue, Quinn. Last Monday, I was in the middle of baking. This Monday, the first Monday of March, I was in the middle of baking, and I started getting texts, Jim, and a video link. After I got done baking, I sat and watched it. And for some reason, you found it was necessary to mention my name being repeatedly questioned. And you mentioned it in basically a derogatory tone, and I find that unacceptable. I just came here to tell you that, that's all.
Okay, well, great, thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes?
Jen Giordano, 600 North Atlantic, condo 205. There's been a lot of talk about trash. Walking around, and I'm sure we've all experienced the same thing. The majority of the trash is plastic bags. Has there ever been any discussion of an outright ban of plastic bags in Collinswood?
You need a single use, like the store bags?
Yep, the Wawa bags, I mean, they're all over North Atlantic and
Yep.
Cal all the time.
So I can tell you that, we haven't had a ton of discussion about it here. But there's efforts at the state about that, and I have, the towns I've been working at, there's a lot of discussion about it. There's legislation under consideration pretty seriously at the state level. Concern, I'll just give you my own local concern, is having that rule for like our businesses that we've got here in town, like changes the dimensions for them vis-a-vis, changes expenses for them vis-a-vis the businesses that are like right over there, okay? It's just added cost, that's all, that's why they're doing it, because they're so cheap. But the state's considering a statewide ban to like eliminate it. That would be easier to do because it just changes the playing field for everybody at one time. So that's all I have.
So we talk
I know we're
about it all
against
the
it.
time.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
we're
we talk
against
about
it.
it all the time at the sustainability meetings, we're always trying to figure out a way. At the Green Festival, somebody's doing a presentation in a tent, somebody else is doing a presentation about stopping plastic water bottles. There's a lot of interest in the educational part of it, and with new stores, we're saying to the man or woman behind the counter, could you please stop offering plastic bags? Like we're doing like the gentle educational approach. At the farmer's market, we've tried 2 years in a row now to try to find different ways to stop plastic bags from farmers and other vendors. I mean, hours of conversations on how to get this to happen because we don't have a ban and the state doesn't have a ban, and what can we do to stop it? So it's in process, and there's so many efforts going on. But wherever you go, if you could tell them you don't want a plastic bag and bring in something that makes them know. I do it all the time. They see me and they hide underneath. I go with a cardboard box, and they're like, and I say, here's my cardboard box that I can use. You're good recycle. So I think, for right now, it's starting with us, and we are trying to figure out how we can make it happen with paper bags, cardboard, just really. So keep working on any ideas that you have that we can do. But if the playing field was equal, it would be better for merchants. If we all carried our, you know what I'm saying? You don't think it's good? You think that
Okay,
we should
let's
Okay.
don't get into discussions with
Okay.
nods, okay, please.
Okay.
Let's
So-
do, anyone else? Yes.
Kathleen McKenna, 253 Woodlawn Avenue. I have a question for Mayor Maley. Are you aware that this is being broadcast live stream?
Yes.
On Instagram, on Facebook? Do you ever go back and watch them?
We live stream ourselves. Do I go back and watch them? No. No.
I would like to make a suggestion that maybe you go back and watch the March meeting. Because you disparaged a member of our community, and he just, Mr. Danella, and you called him out, he called you out on it. And I have a follow-up question, do you ever apologize? You disparaged someone, a member of our
I
community.
didn't disparage anyone.
I can actually, if you have a moment, I can pull up what you said.
What did I, just tell me what I said. I believe you, Kathleen. What did I say?
You said, he came. Oh, I admit that I have, and you also disparaged the Irish. That was my other problem, because you blamed your anger.
But I can
on the
disparage
Irish.
myself.
Well, you can disparage me, I'm from there.
Okay, all
I don't
right.
take it. No. I want to know if you ever consider your words. after the fact and say, shoot, maybe I should have said that differently, because you and I have had this back and forth. I don't like being the tone police, but I feel like, come off rather hostile. You called out someone who wasn't even present in the room and used him as an example of being beleaguered by questions, and then he called you out on it, and instead of saying, hey man, I'm sorry, I was out of line. Instead you said, thank you. And that's not modeling compassionate leadership in our community. That's modeling arrogance, and I think that that's really unfortunate. And I would just really, really appreciate it if you could take 40 minutes and watch the highlight reel of last month's meeting, because it was really upsetting. Thank you.
Kathleen, there's not much that you've liked that I've done ever,
That's not
okay?
true.
Well, it's not, every time you stand up and speak here, it's criticizing the way I talk, the way I said to me, okay? That I get too angry, that I've said things rudely, I've said things meanly. My recollection of the discussions at the last meeting is it got a little hot, and we all recognize that, people talked afterward, okay? So, and I didn't say anything bad about Mr. Dinella at the last meeting. I believe I said the topics that were being brought up were the same topics that had been brought up before, okay? And so that's my recollection of it. And that meeting was hot, it was like, got a little testy. That happens from time to time. I believe at the meeting I recognized that, and said that I can get that way. And so I don't, and I'm not gonna sit here and talk about what my tone is, okay? Because some people like it. Let me finish what I'm saying, okay? Some people like it, you obviously don't like it. So that's just, everyone's not gonna be happy. Everybody's not gonna love the way I talk to them. Some people think at times on some things, I get fiery about it at times, because when I get personal attacks lobbed at me, yeah, I do. I get fiery about it, okay? So that's it.
You didn't get an opportunity to apologize because Mr. Dinella wasn't here when you brought him up.
I'm not apologizing.
I'm asking you if you'd ever apologize, and I'm secondly asking you, please, because your recollection is such, I just want you to go back and maybe scroll through. I think it was at the about 40-minute mark. I could be wrong. It was a long meeting. It was later. 35 minutes. I'm not really sure.
I'm sure it got sent around to everyone.
Hour 35. Sorry, hour 35.
I'm sure it was sent to everyone, so I'm sure you have it all marked.
You know what? Isn't that wonderful that the community is engaged?
It is great. It's great that that's what's being focused on. Yes, that's great.
You know, I don't think that that's fair to say that that's what's being focused
Well,
on.
it's what you're.
I was literally moved to tears tonight when you swore in the EMT. I commend you for lots of things, and I commended you publicly for lots of things, and I said thank you before I started to say, hey man, maybe.
Here's what you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you know what? You chose this job to sit in front of us in the dais and to nod and smile and cross your arms and shake your head, and you can't have a thin skin. That's why I'm not up there. That's why I've never run for public office, because I have thin skin. You can't say I'm Irish, so I get angry. That is completely.
Okay, I can't say any of those things. That's fine. I thank you for letting me know that. Appreciate that. Okay.
And
Anyone
that's
else?
fine, but that's cool.
You got it. Anyone else? Yes.
I wanted to request that Kate Delaney, 126 Palmer.
Thank you.
I wanted to request that agendas be made available before the meeting, somewhere online, so like at least earlier in the day or before that. So people can have the information before arriving. So like when people are asked if they want to comment on an ordinance that's having a second reading, they can be more prepared.
So the law requires us to have. It doesn't require us to post it in advance. Okay. So we can see if we can do that. The trouble is it changes all the time. Okay. When they're regularly scheduled meetings, we don't have to have an agenda out ahead of time. When it's a special meeting, we have to say, and this is what we're going to talk about. Okay. So we can try to do that, but it changes. Like what we're going to go through then is things are all added to the agenda that weren't on, and you have notice of before, and things come off the agenda that might have been on there before.
Yeah,
So we can look and see. We can look and see. Might be the day of.
Yeah.
Might be the day of sometime. Okay. All right. Thanks. Anyone else? Yes.
Barbara Tomch, I just want to underline something about the Airbnb draft. I really think that to require hosts to report personal info about their guests is an invasion of privacy. I personally wouldn't stay someplace where my personal information is being given to the town or the city or the borough. I think it's sufficient to say one woman, one child of whatever age, a man and a man, a woman and a woman, for fire department use. I don't think that their name, address, phone number, et cetera, should be given. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else? Yes.
Fiona Dawson, 841 Maple Avenue. At the last meeting, when Kathleen Arvid was asking if you feel that you are holding true to the sunshine laws, because if you're having a meeting with three of you, there should be minutes taken, and you said that Team Collingswood is a political party, and I just wondered for the record if you would state that Team Collingswood is a political party.
Well, it's a nonpartisan party.
Political party.
No, I can't say that. It's not. It depends what your definition. What do you?
So, well, we're interested in
What do you want? You want
transparency.
something for the record for what? What are you trying to get?
That last month you said that Team Collingswood is a political party.
What I mean by that, okay, I don't know whether it fits a definition of political party, but political parties are allowed to caucus, okay? And a caucus is exempt from any of the Open Public Meeting Act requirements, all right? We're a nonpartisan form of government. So there's not, quote, political parties. But this slate that has runs to the extent it can be a party. We run officially, recorded with the clerk, as a group, okay? So to the extent that there's a nonpartisan political party, yeah, I think it fits into that definition, yes. So that's a 100-word answer to what I think you want is a yes or a no.
Thank you.
Okay? Yes, name and address.
Leslie Fentz at 315 Taylor Avenue. I just had a follow-up question. I just wanted to clarify, are the commissioners having private meetings where they discuss borough matters outside of these meetings under the partisan caucus?
So in the past we have, for the last month we haven't at all.
Okay.
I've talked to Rob at different times, I've talked to Joan at different times. I don't know if they've talked to each other, but we haven't sat down with that. No. Okay. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Hi, Sean Moen, 309 East Bellwood Avenue. First of all, Your Honor, Commissioner Moen, thank you for your service. Public service is an important thing, and we appreciate the hours you put in. So online I saw that the Airbnb draft ordinance was posted, and I was excited. I took a look at it, and I actually had to laugh. The Collingswood proposed ordinance is twice as long as the ordinance for Airbnb for the city of Boston. I mean, perspective-wise here.
You do it right.
600,000+ people in Boston and 14,000 people in Collingswood. So, and considering the bureaucracy and everything else in Boston, that's quite a stretch. And then when you start to read the very first line is violations and penalties. It doesn't even say short-term rental ordinance. I mean, this, if I didn't know your intentions were better, it reads as if it was meant to obfuscate, right?
Okay, well, let me just clarify that for you.
Yeah.
There's existing provisions in our code.
I get that, and this is gonna drop
And that's
in
just
there.
picking up from the provisions of the code,
I
that's
get
all.
that, I get that.
It's not it's not like we're writing a novel.
I get that, but
Okay.
respectfully, you were also aware that you were dropping this in for the town to read with the rest of the code, right? So it's not user-friendly, and I believe that's on purpose, right? And so I do agree with most of the things that the party over here mentioned, but the one thing I would agree with.
Which one? Some people say yay, some people say no.
Oh, I'm sorry, in favor of Airbnb.
People that say yeah.
Remember, who has what to gain. So there are lobbyists, the hotel industry, certainly realtors, who have a lot of money to spend to put negative press out, and that's why in big cities like, New York, you'll see a lot in the press. That's all funded by the industry. That's not bad experience, so people are actually happy. Second, the 5 times in the calendar year for a total of 24 days is, that just looks like you're not trying. 20, that would be, say an average per night is $100. That's $2,400 for the year. That's not really bullet point. Rentals shall be at least 3 days. The overwhelming majority of people that stay in Airbnbs in Collingswood are here to celebrate their anniversary for a night, to go to a bridal shower in Collingswood. They used to live in Collingswood and they're visiting their parents. They're going to, as was mentioned, concerts at the Scottish Rite Theatre. So 3-day minimum, again, that looks like it was meant to purposely throw a wrench in the works. There should be no minimum on the number of days required. I'm totally for a 14-day minimum if you want to start there and see how it works. There's no reason. And there were examples of students, all respect to everybody else, if you're going to stay longer than that, you probably should rent an apartment, right? But 14-day minimum, I am certainly in favor of as a starting point. The 24-day limit is crazy though. 180 days makes sense. And again, I agree with what they said about piloting, perhaps, only owner occupied, that makes sense. Start with that for a year if you have to. Oh yeah, and last thing, Airbnb applications allow for detailed exports of reservation. Excuse me, the Airbnb application has an export feature. So all data on number of stays, financial transactions, etc., can be exported at the drop of a hat. So you guys can request that information if there was ever an issue. You don't need that information up front. And as you go to annually renew people's registrations, you can ask for their annual Excel spreadsheet from your community, which they can generate in 30 seconds. That's it. Thank you.
I don't want to have a discussion going back and forth on it, but just so you know, like that, the tenant information, like when there's a fire there tonight, okay? The firemen aren't calling and asking someone to send over the information about who the tenants are, okay? Like there's a lot more that's involved in this than I know a lot of you. There's more that we're looking at that's involved. So
respectfully, I don't think you understand the use of it. It doesn't seem like it.
All right, I don't. Great. Anyone else? Anybody else? Okay. All right, we're adjourned. Thanks.
So you know her last name now.